Do you want to get started on our podcast?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Welcome to Make Me, the podcast where Julia and I force each other to do the things that we couldn't be bothered to do ourselves. My name is Jordan Steadman.
And my name is Julia Weeks. What's up, Jordan?
I'm great. I'm excited to be here.
Me too.
I love recording. I love talking to you.
Me too. Likewise. You're wearing your little alien shirt today that I adore.
Thank you so much. I feel like I'm like a makeup artist at Sephora when I wear it.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. The ones that look like they could be a Martian and then they have the little space buns.
Yeah.
You could do that. You could fit right in with them.
I went into a Sephora earnestly for the first time the other day. Yes. And only one of the people working there had like a full face of makeup. And I thought that it was like a rule that everyone had to wear makeup, which I'm like, I don't care. I just thought, I was going to go in and like people were going to be wearing like beat faces, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of what I assumed. Like how Hollister makes you be like a size 0 and wear flip-flops. Sephora makes you be any person but with a full face of makeup.
Right, exactly.
Where you could like take your fingernail and scrape like a canal in their face.
That's what I wanted. I want to know every part that they were using, and I want to be like, okay, what's a white eyeliner? And they're like, well, I'm wearing one now. So like, do you like the way that this one looks on my face?
Yes, that's what we need. But I bet because it's coronavirus, people are not doing makeup. So they're like, I can just put mascara on.
Yeah, for sure. The one woman who helped me, she had really cool eyebrows where like she said like brown and then like put like blue at the tips with like, she said it was like, it was just like a lipstick, like a liquid lipstick or whatever.
Yeah.
And she just like put it on her eyes. And I was like, that's actually pretty cool. And that's what I'm kind of looking for.
You know what I feel like?
Not that look, but like that's like the innovation I'm looking for.
I feel like you could pull off when people shave like a line in their eyebrow. Have you ever done that?
I think about that all the time, but it's definitely one of those things that like I keep in my back pocket for like my next breakdown. Like if like I can't make a purchase that's going to make me feel better, or like if I can't like do something else in my body immediately, it's going to be that.
I feel like the problem with that though is that if you mess up at all, your eyebrow is gone.
Oh, that's the other thing I'm worried about. It's like if I fuck up, then it's bad.
Yeah, then you'll have one colored in eyebrow and one regular eyebrow.
I mean, I guess the good thing about it is I could always just get like an eyebrow pencil and then like learn how to fill it in all the time and it'd be fine.
True.
Until it grows back.
Yeah, I feel like you and I have been talking about eyebrows a lot lately. Eyebrows.
We're definitely we're on that in eyebrow culture on the internet.
Eyebrows are a gay icon.
Before we get into the podcast, can I make a podcast suggestion to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, so since I am now allowed to listen to podcasts again, I like overindulged and listened to everything, so I'm all caught up. Nice. But in this time, I found a podcast called This Sounds Serious, and it's like a fiction true crime podcast that is like it's set up as like a serialized like, you know, true crime podcast where it's like the whole season is one case, but it's all made up.
That sounds fun.
Really funny. It's so funny. And somehow like Paul Tompkins is in like a few episodes and I'm like, how is he on every podcast?
He's our podcast daddy. He's everywhere. So it's all scripted?
It's all scripted. I'm sure that some of it's improv, knowing like how these podcasts work, but yeah, it's all scripted and it's really funny.
Sounds awesome.
The first one, so it's like set up like this woman who's like an investigative like podcaster, I suppose. She like listens to 911 calls and then like finds interesting ones, and yeah, and then that
sounds great.
That's your tidbit.
It's called This Sounds Serious.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, add that to your list, but only after you listen to us.
Yeah. Should we get into the make me's or did you have something else?
Yes, I want to get into the make me's, but I can't remember for the life of me who goes first.
I believe you go first this week.
Ooh, okay.
And if not,
awesome.
That's donk on my end.
Okay. So this week you forced me against my will to find like the best matcha latte recipe.
Yeah.
for the home times. I assume that means you like matcha lattes.
I do like matcha lattes. My first matcha latte was just like a Starbucks matcha latte, which just seems like it's like whatever dairy or non-dairy that you choose with like the matcha powder and then some ice.
Yeah.
And I'm not opposed to that being like what a matcha latte is, but I feel like I could beef up my game.
True.
And then every once in a while I'll get like a hot matcha latte.
Yeah.
In like
and you
the
like
winter.
The flavor?
I love the flavor. And it's like a nice pick-me-up. And I'm pretty sure you might know more than me, but it has like a fair amount of caffeine. So it's a pretty good, to me, it seems lighter than a cup of coffee, like morning pick-me-up.
Yes, I would agree with that. I think, so the first time you had a matcha latte, you really liked it? Like you didn't have the phase of thinking it tasted like grass or whatever that some people go through?
No, I really liked it because I lean toward the sweetened ones. Like I like to get them
Yeah.
sweetened with honey or something.
Oh yeah, me too.
Because like if without it, I can see it tasting like grass or like
Yes.
almost like a green dietary supplement that you'd put in like a smoothie. You know?
Yeah, it's like chalky almost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The first time I had a matcha latte, I was like, I've had things that are flavored like matcha and I like them. Let's try the latte. And whatever way this place prepared it, it was like gritty and tasted like grass.
Oh no.
And I was like, well, this sucks.
Yeah.
I don't understand why people like this. Yuck. But then I worked at a bakery and I worked the espresso bar and we made matcha lattes and theirs are slightly sweetened.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked it. And I think the place just burnt it before or whatever. So
yeah.
Same with espresso, you can like fuck up the proportions or how long you steam the milk or whatever.
Yeah.
You can be fucking up shit that looks easy.
Yeah, that's true. I would be really intimidated to like operate an espresso machine. I did it one time.
It's actually really fun.
I did my first day at a restaurant / only day at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Because I had to make an espresso and I was like, this is the only one I'm ever gonna make, and I never came back.
I kind of find them fun. Like I would always opt to do the espresso station, even though you're like constantly moving, like, you know, at a bakery or a coffee shop, people are always asking for espresso drinks. Well, as if you're like working the pastry case, you don't have as much work to do.
Yeah. Can I make a weird can I admit something?
Of course. I make a weird admittance. Yes.
Yeah. I think that people running an espresso machine are like really hot. I don't know what it is about it, but it's almost like it's the same like feeling I get in my tummy when I see like a shirtless man playing an electric guitar. It's like the same feeling that whenever like a barista like with like straight across bangs and like a turtleneck is making me like an espresso.
Yes, and they look so competent and they're just like whipping things around and steaming milk while they're also pulling another shot and all this crazy shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I totally agree.
And like they're taking someone else's order and I'm like, you have all of the power right now.
And they always have a cool haircut and cool clothes. And
yeah,
like,
exactly.
Oh, wow.
I've had many a crush on many a barista.
Yes, me too. So matcha, I did some research on matcha. I've had a few matcha lattes in the past. When I worked at this bakery, I would make them for myself because I just kind of liked them. But it was always like a pre-made mix that you would like, similar to an espresso shot, you like pour into a cup and then you add the steamed milk. So I didn't actually know what it was all about. So I did some research. So matcha is just green tea. It's like a specific type of green tea. And it's like very well catered to green tea leaves basically, and it's called shade growing them, which just like slows down how fast the plant grows, which makes them produce more caffeine and like more like precious leaves, like small leaves that are really fine and tender, and it just takes a long ass time to make them
because they're grown in shade and not necessarily like direct sunlight. Okay, that makes sense.
Yes. And then you take the leaves off the plant, different leaves depending on different like grades of matcha. Like regular tea that you get in a tea bag is like they pull the tea leaf off of the plant and they dry it and then they just like throw it in the bag. I'm sure it's a lot with more finesse than that.
No, that's how you make tea. That's how it's made.
And then with matcha, like so the highest like top tier is ceremonial grade, which I'll get into in a second. But for that, you only take like the very top leaves, the ones that are still really young, and then you dry those, and then you grind them into a powder.
Mm-hmm.
And then like with the lower grade, the like regular everyday drinking grade, it's the top leaves, but also some of the middle leaves, same process. And then for like the cooking grade, it's just basically any leaf off the plant.
Yeah.
And that like makes the nuance of flavor different.
Interesting.
So the process is you dry it and then you grind it, which you don't usually do with tea. And apparently the grinding process takes forever because they don't want the tea leaves to heat up at all. And friction makes things heat up.
Wow, okay.
So they'll like put it in a stone grinder and it'll take an hour to do like a cup of tea or something like that.
Wow.
Because if they do too fast, then like it releases its oils and like the flavor changes.
Yeah.
And then you mix that with water and that's your tea.
Does it dissolve?
It like suspends in the liquid.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. So you're drinking very fine particles.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's like instead of having the big leaves floating around in your cup.
Yeah.
And basically matcha has had like a resurgence in the world recently and has come to America and has been like westernized in the latte form and other forms.
Yeah.
Like those fish cakes and stuff. But traditionally matcha tea was reserved for tea ceremonies, which was like a Buddhist practice, and also for like very high officials. So like the king would have it, and like the knights and like people in high regard would have matcha, and they wouldn't have it every day. It was like for ceremonies or for special occasions.
Oh, interesting.
So, and it's really expensive, like because it takes that whole ass process of like tending to these tiny leaves. It's really expensive. But then it's become more popular, and now we have like, so the different grades, like the kind we probably have in America is like the cooking grade or the regular grade, which isn't as like well tended to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we get like I'm sure if you had matcha like in China, it would be way different.
Yeah. And I wonder like what grade like even Starbucks is getting, you know?
Right. Probably they probably are just like growing regular green tea leaves themselves, and
that's what I figured. I'm sure like we don't even get like real matcha from China. Right. I'm sure like it's grown somewhere in California.
Yeah, probably. Like all of our other like weird things we've accommodated from around the world.
Yeah. Do you know where you've ever had like your best matcha latte?
I haven't had that many. I really liked the kind at the place I used to work, which is they got MEM tea, MEM, which is like a local small tea place in the Boston area. So it's like well taken care of tea rather than like celestial seasonings or whatever.
Right. Did you look up like with like the more traditional matcha tea? Did you ever like look into like how they made it as opposed to like how we'd probably like bastardize just like putting matcha powder in like milk?
Yeah, totally. So the traditional way of making it, have you ever seen like the sets with like the bowl and the little wooden whisk and the scoopy and all that stuff?
Yeah.
That's for the traditional way of doing it, and it's not even about the like you can make really good matcha without all that, but it's part of the ceremony. So you like have your little bowl and your whisk, and it's like a meditative process almost. So you have a bowl and you put the matcha powder in it. You add water, but not too much water, just enough that all of the tea dissolves more or less, and you whisk it with a little whisk so that there's no clumps.
Mm-hmm.
Then you mix that with more water in your cup.
Gotcha.
And like the ceremonial grade or the ceremonial way of drinking it is like not that much tea. It's like pretty concentrated.
Okay.
And they serve it. This is something really cool I learned. They serve it with stuff called wagashi, which is like sweet small desserts. Because
Ooh.
some like the tea is bitter because it's so concentrated. So you like eat that before you drink the tea.
Interesting. What kind of ceremonies were you like? What kind of ceremonies used this like? Was the ceremony like for something specific, or was it like we're having like a high tea service and this is what we're doing?
From what I could tell, it was used like the tea ceremony is its own thing.
Okay.
And you would do it when there's someone of like high regard around, or you're like honoring something. It's it wasn't like, I think you can just do it whenever for whatever occasion, but you have to like follow all the steps, and it's like a sacred thing.
Yeah.
But then like if you wanted to make matcha at home, and people do drink it that same way, you can just like put it in a bowl, get a whisk, make sure there's no clumps, mix it with water, and then add more water later. And that's like the everyday version of drinking it.
Okay.
But those little whisks are so cute, and I want one so bad, like the
They
little
are
bowl.
super
But I know
cute.
that's like that's like my stupid Western brain being like, this is so cute and small and like a little tiny whisk, and it's supposed to be like a spiritual nice thing.
You're like, oh, I want that. I want more kitchen gadgets. And I want like, I'll use this one time when I get it and not like the way I did it, and then it'll be in the corner. But like, probably like everyone will come and see. And then when I ask if I make matcha, I'm like, yeah, that's what I don't drink coffee anymore. I actually just do matcha and I make it myself. So, can you put your bag in? We're going to Joshua Tree.
Basically, yeah. I watched all these videos to figure out how to make matcha, and all of the nice white ladies that I ended up watching. I mean, I tried to watch like people that knew what the fuck they were doing, but of course there's a ton of white ladies doing it, and they were like, get a bowl and a whisk, or you can get a fork. It doesn't matter. Because like we're already not doing the whole ceremony. So
yeah.
One other thing about like the history of it and that I thought was interesting is that it was like it became a thing that people did during the Song Dynasty, which is like it became like a process with the whipping of the tea, which no one had done that before, in like from 960 to like 1300. So like a long ass time ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it wasn't even like popular. It was only for these like high up people. Then in like the middle of that timeline, it was brought to Japan, and it had a little bit of popularity for a while, and it actually kind of like fell out of fashion until recently, when we're like cooking with matcha and like putting it in all these desserts and stuff. And it really is because like there's just more people and there's like more connection. And especially since it was brought to the Western world, there's just like people doing it all the time, and it's becoming more of like a thing, like a food craze almost.
Yeah. It also is just really good.
Yeah, it's really good. All those desserts are so good.
Have you had the matcha Pocky?
Yes.
That's really good.
I think Pocky is so good, and it doesn't seem like it should be.
I don't understand what it is. You know what I mean? Because it Pocky to me seems like, you know, those like cheese dipper things, or it's like the little breadsticks. That's basically what it is, like dipped in like frosting, not frosting, but like a creamy, you know, like chocolate candy. But they're delicious, and I love them, and you can buy them in bulk at Costco.
Right, and they're so good. And also similar to what we were talking about, I think during origami, where there was those kids in school that always had them, and they also had like all the really cool like erasers and pencils and pen cases. They always had Pocky, and they would sometimes give you one, and you were like, oh, this is so cool, and like something I don't get to have.
One of the high school I went to had a lot of international students. So we had a lot of people from like Japan, China, and like South Korea, and they always had really yummy candies.
Yes.
And now when we go to the Asian market, I get to go and get all of them again. Yeah. And it's like, how do you know about all of these? I was like, I don't know. I just had a lot of friends who gave me candy.
And you like coveted them as like a white kid looking on, like, ooh, what is that?
Yeah, exactly.
So the reason why this became like popular in America or the Western world, it seems, is that we're obsessed with caffeine. We're all addicted to caffeine. We don't want to admit that it's an addiction, but it is. And matcha has, I don't think it has more caffeine, but the way the caffeine disperses in your body is a slower release.
Yeah.
So with coffee, you kind of get the caffeine immediately and then it dulls. And with matcha, you're getting caffeine in small increments, like throughout the whole timeline of it being in your blood.
That's nice.
Yeah.
But also you don't get the nice like buzz of like feeling alive, you know?
Right. That we feel like we need.
Yeah.
There's also something called theanine in it, which is a stress reducing chemical.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of why it originally became popular and like those are the health benefits. There's a lot of antioxidants in it too, but especially this theanine was like coveted as a essential part of like living a calm life.
Interesting.
And then the whole process obviously is like meditative.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have any other questions about like the history of it before I get into matcha lattes and like the bastardization of the process?
I don't have any questions specifically about the history of matcha, but I'm curious about you mentioned that you used to make like espresso drinks and lattes and things at your bakery job. And you made matcha lattes there?
Yeah.
What was a matcha latte recipe there, or is that included in your like next part?
No, let's do that now. So I think that probably I know Starbucks does this too, where they have like the pre-made mix of matcha. Mm-hmm. So we would get bags of matcha powder, and then someone would have to make like a pitcher's worth of matcha concentrate, mm-hmm. which was matcha, water, and then we added simple syrup to it. So it's like the sweetened kind.
Yeah.
Which is not the traditional way of having matcha.
Right.
Then you like mix it up in this huge pitcher. And so you had a concentrate that it was like completely opaque and we had it in a squeeze bottle. And so you would, instead of pulling a shot, you would get a shot's worth of matcha concentrate, put it in a cup, and then you would steam whatever milk the person asked for and then pour that on top.
Oh, okay.
So it's really mostly milk.
Yeah, it took me a very long time within this year. I mean, to find out what actually a latte is.
Yeah.
I just like know that I really like them.
They're good.
They're so good. I didn't drink like coffee until maybe 2 years ago. Like I didn't drink coffee all throughout college. I drank tea, and that's why I really like matcha, because it makes me feel like that again. You know what I mean? And like it probably has to do with like, while I love the buzz of like a cup of coffee, because like it brings me joy every day, along with that comes a feeling of like the crash when your like body is out of like fuel entirely.
Yes.
Which I never really got when I was like exclusively drinking green tea in the morning.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I think that's because of that delay of caffeine.
Yeah, for sure.
You are also the person that turned me on to the fact that you can get basically any tea as a latte.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew about that. And then you came to visit and you got an Earl Grey latte, and then I started having them every day because they're so fucking good.
They're so good. I love like a lavender, like it's basically a London fog, which is like a black tea like latte basically, but if you can get like a lavender London fog or a lavender fog, every like coffee shop has their own thing. Yes, they're amazing, and they're easy to make, and you can like prepare them easily, and like having like an iced one is so easy, like midday drink, you know?
So good.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make them at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty easy. Speaking of making things at home.
Wait, I have one more question.
Okay.
What is your favorite type of tea?
That's tough. Usually I don't drink tea for the caffeine. I'm a big coffee gal. And so I really like a peppermint tea when I'm sick and it's really, really hot and it like burns all the sickness out of my throat.
Yeah, I love that.
I love getting third-degree burns in my throat.
I also like that because I drink coffee now, so I don't drink as much tea. But like an Earl Grey tea on like a Saturday morning, like when it's like in the middle of winter and it's really gross outside, there's nothing beats that. And I also think like nothing beats like a chamomile tea when you're sick and like you just like it's like 9 p.m. and you're like, I'm going to put on a movie and drink my like chamomile tea and try to feel better right now.
Yes, totally. Also, I feel like tea goes better with like baked goods.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Sometimes. So if you're like having a nice little croissant and an Earl Grey tea and you're like, ooh, I'm so French.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so to make this at home, there's a lot of different things you can do. But the main problem is that lattes require foamed milk. And the only way you can, steamed milk with foam. And the foam comes from all the tiny bubbles like collecting on top. And I don't have an espresso machine, but if you did, this would be very, very, very easy because the ratios are the same as like making a regular coffee latte, which is you need a really small amount of the actual caffeine, you know, the matcha or the espresso, and then you fill the cup with the milk and the foam.
Yeah.
So I found that I also don't drink regular cow milk, so that foams up a lot better than like non-dairy milks. So I tried to find like the best possible like at home version of foaming milk when you don't have a steamer and you don't have one of those like little frother. Have you seen those like tools that like just spins a whisk really fast?
Yeah, I have.
I don't have that. I kind of wish I do, but I don't. So I found out that you can heat up milk on the stove, any kind of milk. Then you put it in like a glass jar with a lid and a towel around it and just shake it up for like a minute. And then you get somewhat of a foam. So I figured out, I decided that's what I'm going to do. That's how I'm going to do my foamy latte.
Okay.
So the way you prepare a matcha latte at home is like a similar practice as they do in the tea ceremonies, but obviously with like whatever you have at home. So I bought this matcha latte or matcha tea from Whole Foods, which is by Rishi Tea. I don't know if you know them.
Yeah, I have a couple of their teas.
So they make this matcha powder that has powdered sugar in it, and I like sweetened matcha, so I decided like I'll just do this instead of figuring out the simple syrup deal.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's just like a little lighter color in the package. So it's already mixed in there. You put that, you get a mug and you have a sifter, like a sieve over it, and you push a tablespoon of matcha through the sieve into your cup.
Okay.
Because you don't want any clumps.
Like flour.
Yes. And then you take a whisk or a fork or whatever, and you whisk it even more dry in the cup. And then you have to boil water, but it can't be like completely boiled. It has to be like almost boiled. You pour that in with the matcha and you just like make sure it's like a solid solution. There's no clumps. There's nothing that's not in the, like mixed in. And then you just heat up your your milk, shake it up and pour it on top. And I found out that it worked pretty well.
Okay.
And I tried multiple versions. Like I tried it without foaming, quote unquote, the milk. And I tried it just plain, and I tried it with like more water content than milk content. And I found that the perfect ratio is a tablespoon of matcha powder with like a half cup of water as when you mix it.
Yeah.
And then a cup of your milk of choice.
Nice.
And it's so good. It's like a little treat. I posted on the Instagram while I was making it. I have a bunch of pictures of the process of doing it. And it's one of those things that like you don't want to do because it's a process and you'd rather just like boil tea and put a bag of tea, or boil water and put a bag of tea in the mug. But this is like meditative. You have to be present because otherwise your water's going to boil too much. Your milk's going to like foam up too much.
Yeah.
Boil over, whatever. But then you have your nice little matcha latte that you made yourself, and like warmed up milk is so cozy.
Yes.
And it really didn't take that many tries to get the version I liked.
How many did you make?
I made 5.
And then the last one was the best? Or did you like after 3, you're like, okay, I nailed it. So you made 2 more?
The last one was the best, but the other ones were like very close. Because I just wanted, like, I would do it. The way it says in the package is like 1 tablespoon, 8 ounces of water, but then 8 ounces of milk and water, and then it wouldn't fill up my mug all the way. And like, I feel deprived when my mug isn't filled up all the way.
Yeah.
So I filled it up more with water, and then like the foam sits on top and like is daring to fall over the sides, you know?
Yeah.
Because I want to feel like I'm in like a fancy bakery.
Right, and I want to have just been made like perfectly. Like
Yes.
I want someone who does it every day to make it for me.
Yes, exactly. So it's a very close representation of the really good ones I've had, but it doesn't have good foam, which is a bummer.
Yeah.
But it's way easier than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to be tasting like grass and like it was going to be clumpy or it was going to be too watery and like not flavorful.
Yeah.
And it's like surprisingly very easy to do at home.
Okay, that's good news because you're talking about it, and when I saw your picture, I was like, damn, I want that. I don't have to go to a coffee shop.
Yes, totally. And plus, the packaging said that they were just like, get a mug, put the powder in the mug, and then pour in your hot water or your milk. They didn't even say like do all the sifting stuff. That was people online that like want the ritual of it.
Yeah.
But I think you can buy tea powder that's so fine that it doesn't even matter. And you could wake up and like the same process you do for making coffee, like you could do it basically in 5 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
It's not gonna take forever.
Yeah. I mean, if you want them iced, like a cold one, I'm sure you can just like have the concentrate ready.
Yes.
And then just like pour in your like milk alternative.
Yes. They also, so there's a bunch of different ways you can make matcha drinks, which is exciting because if you like matcha flavor, you might get bored of just
The
like
same thing.
standard.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just like mix the powder into any milk you want and put it over ice. You don't even need the concentrate made already because it's like hard to get it clumpy because it's like the process kind of, it's not like someone did it by hand and there's all these tea oils in there. Like you're gonna buy the process kind that it's not gonna be hard to make. It's like foolproof.
Yeah.
Anyway, to wrap this up, I mean, I don't really have much else to say other than this was so easy and I was expecting it to be hard and like anyone could do this. And the pre-sweetened kind is awesome. And honestly, I doubt that our stupid Western palates will be able to tell the difference between like high quality and low quality. So when I was looking at Whole Foods, for obviously they're like way expensive. They didn't have them at, they didn't have any matcha at like the Stop and Shop, which is just like a regular grocery store.
Yeah.
So they had ones that were like $25 for like a cup of powder. I was like,
Wow.
I can't do that. So I got this one that I got is like $10 and it says it makes 50 cups.
Okay. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, it's like way less expensive than coffee.
Yeah. And like a matcha latte would cost like $5.
Right. Yeah. So it's a deal.
Yeah, for sure.
So any other questions or like you want me to make you a latte and send it over to your house or
yes, I would love that. The only question I have is do you think this is going to be something that like you do now?
Yes, I do feel like it's a thing I'm going to do now because sometimes like drinking coffee is good, but sometimes you want that like coziness of the hot milk too, which sounds really gross, but it is like a nicer experience than just drinking like straight tea or straight coffee.
Do you ever like crave like a hot chocolate?
Yes.
I feel like this would like hit that same thing.
Yeah, totally, because it's like creamy and sweet.
Yeah.
And like I drink my coffee black, which is great, but also sometimes you want to like dump half and half in it.
Yeah, I've recently with my coffee, I've been so bad because I'm just like, whatever. Like, there's no rules. Like, who's gonna give a shit? I've been getting a lot. I've been putting like cream and sugar in my coffee.
Ooh.
I made a joke that I'm gonna start drinking coffee like my mom. My mom puts in 10 sugars in a cup of like in her like
Holy
McDonald's
shit.
like medium coffee.
So there's like a little sludge of sugar at the bottom when she's done.
Going back to the like coffee like matcha comparison and like when you'd prefer having like a matcha over a coffee.
Yeah.
There's also that like some mornings when I go to drink a cup of coffee, I'm just like, this is gasoline. Like
yes.
I feel a buzz immediately. Like my mouth smells weird. Like this isn't good. And it's like sometimes too hot because you're like, I want like a boiling hot cup of coffee to like destroy my insides so I feel happy.
Yes.
I feel like matcha could do the exact opposite.
I also feel like with coffee, it's really easy to make it bitter. Like if the water's too hot or you pull it too fast or like whatever, it can be really nasty. But this seems like it's easier to have like a consistent flavor every time because you just boil water and let it sit while you're boiling your milk and then it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have a bunch of pictures. I'll put on the Instagram of how I did it, and super easy to replicate and relatively cheap.
Nice. What's your rating system?
My rating system is going to be out of the wagashi, those little tiny cakes that I want to eat. They just seem so nice. They're like little bite-sized like rice cakes or like little mochis or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so out of 10 wagashi, I'm going to say, honestly, 10.
Nice.
Because I thought it was going to be difficult. It's one of those things that like it was hard for me to find. It was hard for me to like find a way to get foamed milk at home, and like it took some thinking and researching, but overall, like when I actually went to do it, it was fun and easy, and I'm definitely going to replicate it. And I feel like the fact that I'm going to do it again means it's obviously a win.
Yeah, for sure.
So you crushed it. I crushed it. I'm going to try this weird matcha lemonade deal and everyone else should do it. It's so good.
I feel like matcha is like your origami. Like origami is not something that like has been fully incorporated into like my life. Yes. So I'm happy that I gave you a make me that made a positive impact on your life.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to have it tomorrow in the morning.
I'm just like tooting my own horn. Like I'm just so happy that I was brave enough to set you up with an experience that would better you, like that furthered your character development.
And by the way, I also am furthering my character development by doing origami all the time.
Like short plug for myself.
All right, let's take a break and you can make another origami bat while we're at it.
Okay, let's take a break.
Okay. Hey Make Meers, I wanted to take some time to tell you about an amazing artist, Ray Ajmi. They're a non-binary artist based in Brooklyn, New York. They make comics, prints, and various crafts to help you feel your full feelings. Find them on Instagram at rajmi or at their website, rachelajmi.com. Honestly, I'm looking at their stuff right now, and I have to tell you, it's fucking awesome. I love their comics, which you can find on their website, and shout out to episode 13. They're way better than I could ever be. And they recently put on their Instagram a set of linen napkins with fish embroidered on them that I am obsessed with. I need a set for my future fancy apartment. You can follow them and get your own. Find links to their pages in the show notes. Bye. All right, welcome back, everyone.
Hi.
Did you make a matcha latte?
Yeah, how many matcha lattes did you make? Are you asking me?
Was I asking myself?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought maybe you were asking the audience.
I was.
Oh. Well, anyway.
I didn't make a matcha latte or an origami. All I did was drink water.
I did too. That's all I ever do these days is drink water.
Yeah, you're like a little plant.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into your make me a little plant, dude.
Okay. So this week, Julia made me... I don't remember the phrasing of it, but the gist of it was I had to Marie Kondo my digital life.
Yeah, it's like I don't think I use an exact phrase, but like a social media cleanse almost. Yeah.
So before I get into like my make me or like what I did or my results, what is like your history of like decluttering in general?
Like my life or my social media or what?
Either.
So I, every so often, probably like every 4 months or something, I get the unavoidable urge to like go through all my clothes and get rid of stuff. Yeah. I do it all the time. I don't really know where it comes from. And same with like, I'll just stand in my room and I'll look through drawers and stuff and I'll be like, I don't need this. I don't need this. I can donate this. And I'll just like make a big pile of stuff to donate. And then I'm like, Gary, I'm making a donation pile. Throw stuff in it. And he like puts one t-shirt in. It's like soothing to me. And also on social media, I've started this practice of I don't like to unfollow people because then if I need to refollow them to stalk them, which I do frequently, then they know that I did that. So I frequently mute people. Like every day when I'm looking at stories, if there's one that I'm like, I never look at this or this person always annoys me, I mute them. So I have a mute list of like thousands probably. Yeah. Because I find I spend so much time on social media that I'm like clicking through shit that I'm not even reading, and it's just taking time out of my day of like literally hitting the screen. I'm not even learning anything. I'm not gaining anything from it.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
and there's like I get this weird sick joy of muting people and like unfollowing people on Facebook and stuff like that. It just feels good.
I love it too. And you and I have talked so extensively about like minimalism and wanting to get rid of things.
Yes.
And I'm ready to rehash it all. I want to re-enter this conversation.
Awesome.
Because for this week's like research, I realized I never had watched Tidying Up with Marie Kondo.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Marie Kondo is this woman who came into fame from writing basically self-help books. Like the main one I think that people talk about the most is The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, the Japanese art of decluttering and organizing, written by Marie Kondo in 2011. Yes. Marie Kondo is a very pleasant Japanese woman who wrote these books and also now has a Netflix like series show that is so cute.
It's so cute. She's like the cutest woman on the whole planet. And she has the best advice for these people and like sage wisdom for them.
Yeah, for sure. So basically the Marie Kondo method is decluttering your home by making sure that everything has like a specific place, and that re-examining your items and making sure that like you're not just holding on to things that like hold sentimental value, or you feel like that you need to hold on to. It's like keeping them like cluttered. And when I like read basically like a gist of these books, I kind of figured I lived by those like anyway. And I definitely sometimes feel like I can't learn things that I already participate in. And that's really stupid of me. Because even just like watching, even just watching the 2 episodes I watched, I feel like I learned so much more.
Yes.
So when I watched it, I was like, okay, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to give like a book report back. And then I'm going to like talk about me doing, like it to my, like doing it to my Instagram page, like decluttering my Instagram page. But I learned so much that I want to talk to you about it.
Yes, I'm so excited. I love that you said that you don't think you can learn about things that you already know, because I constantly do that with sustainability stuff where I'm like, I'm not going to read this email because I already know about like reducing my waste. And then when I do, I'm like, oh shit, I could have been doing that this whole time.
Yeah, for sure. So like I said, you and I have talked about like minimalism a lot, and like I don't even want to say struggling with it, because it definitely is like a process. And I think that like there's ways to apply it to your life, and then like giving yourself passes on like not necessarily having like the most tidy space, or like holding on to certain items because like you feel like you should, because we've also talked about the privilege that like quote unquote minimalism can have, like capital M minimalism. Yes. Because like a lot of minimalism today is more based on like capitalism and like buying certain things so you're minimal. You know what I mean?
Right. And also there's like the privilege of not having enough, knowing that you can go out and buy whatever you need, rather than being like, I'm holding on to this because I know I might need it later and I won't have the money to buy it.
Yeah, for sure. And like I definitely get caught up in like capital M minimalism. That I'm going to refer to like that kind of minimalism as capital M minimalism. Yeah. In a way that it's like branded basically as like a lifestyle, rather than like a way of like feeling better in your space.
Wait, so can you explain what capital M minimalism is to you then? Like a definition?
So like if I say capital M minimalism, I'm basically talking about like the minimalism that is sold to you on Instagram, that you have to get rid of all of the items that you already have and get these like this bamboo cutlery that you only own one of. You have jars that fill like that have all the food that you eat in them. Yeah. And you have to buy like the certain toothbrush, and you have to buy all of the no packaging, toiletries and all that kind of stuff. When like really, if you're really doing minimalism for sustainability, you should be holding on to everything, like keeping things that like you have already that you don't need to go out and buy because like that had to be manufactured.
Right. And I think another added point is that minimalism as a practice, rather than like a product sold to you, is that you're doing it for like a peace of mind. So you're not doing it because like it makes your space look a certain way, or like you get to have these nice things. It's like you're making use of what you already have and you don't have more than what you need.
Exactly. And then
like you don't need those bamboo divider things in your fucking sock drawer.
No, you don't, because I swear to God, you probably already have something, like you already have something that's similar that might be plastic.
Yes.
But you already own it and it's already been produced and you've already purchased it. Like, don't just throw it away. And then the other factor of like capital M minimalism is like when things are like marketed as minimalist. And like, there are certain like furniture brands that like, they look really cool and like, I really want them because I like the style. But like, people are gonna be like, oh, this is a minimalist bed and it's like $2,500 and I have to buy it if I want to be considered a minimalist. When like my bed frame was like $150 and is actually probably more minimalist anyway, because it really just is like a black frame.
Yeah.
And like serves the exact same purpose. But like when you call something minimalist, like you feel like you're doing better, or like you're fitting into like a brand or a lifestyle that's being sold to you.
I saw one time, I think there's a website called Wild Minimalist and it's a store. And I was like, you can't be a minimalist store.
Right.
It's like false branding.
Right, exactly. And it really, and then I guess the third part of like capital M minimalism is like the aesthetic of it.
Right.
You know, and I definitely do enjoy the aesthetic of minimalism because like I really love like the look of like decluttering.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes it's just like a waste of money just to like do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the most minimalist room I've ever been in was like my college boyfriend's dorm room, which was just like a mattress on the floor and a desk, and like there was no posters or anything, and it was like ultimately not clean, but there was nothing in there because he didn't give a fuck, you know? And that's minimalism as well as having it look nice.
Yeah,
so it's not about looking nice.
Yeah. But with like all of that being said, and I guess differentiating between like trying to live minimally for like clutter purposes and like this whole Marie Kondo kind of way, which we can go into a little bit more, but I'm curious about like what motivates you for like your minimalism.
So I don't think of myself as a minimalist. I more of have it as a lens of sustainability, and I'm constantly worried about waste, and I'm constantly worried about like the things I'm throwing out. Mm-hmm. So when I buy something, I try to make sure like it's going to last a long time. It's actually serving a purpose that I have, like and it's filling a need, and preferably has like not a lot of packaging on it.
Yeah.
But that being said, like I thought I needed a desk organizer, but I had all these boxes from like buying glasses, having like getting a new phone, whatever. And there's like small, like Marie Kondo does this in the show where you can like organize things with stuff you already have.
Yeah.
And also I don't know where this stress comes from, but I have stress of like having things around me that don't have a purpose and like haven't been touched in so long. Especially with clothes. I'm like, I haven't worn this in 10 years. Or like every time I try this on, I'm like, oh, it's cute on the hanger, but I don't like how it looks on my body. But like maybe next time I try it on, it'll look cute.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why am I holding on to this? It's like all this added stress. Cause like next time I touch that dress, I'm going to be like stressed out that I haven't worn it in 5 years. And also I don't like how it looks on my body.
Yeah, for sure. And I personally just like hate being around clutter, like kind of going into like things sitting around that aren't being used. Like it bothers me so much. And it's funny that you mentioned clothes because like we talk about minimalism in clothes all the time. And on like the whole Marie Kondo like strategy method. There you go. The Marie Kondo method. Like you have to lay out all of your clothes on your bed and like hold them, and like if they spark joy, get rid of them, and if not. And like it's so funny because I in college was this guy who like kept every single piece of clothing that I bought, and like from a very young age I was like thrift shopping because I needed to have like quirky fun clothes, and I didn't even know that I was saving. I want to say I was personally saving the environment but making good like sustainable like decisions.
Yes.
But I kept everything because I always, how like I needed a song for every moment. I like needed an outfit for literally anything, and I would hold on to things as like costume pieces.
Yes.
But then when I like finally after senior year of college, I just like got rid of so many things.
Yes, I did the same thing. Did you do the Marie Kondo method then?
I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did. I feel like I've been in and out of the Marie Kondo zeitgeist, but
Yes.
this show has really brought me back in. And
The
then
problem or the thing that I like notice with the clothes is that when you pile all your clothes on your bed or on the floor, you're just like so overwhelmed by how much there is and you feel like a pig.
that's what she was saying. Like sometimes it like when you're decluttering, and this is like, have you ever like done a deep clean of your room, like or like your apartment or something? Like you like
Yes.
just like let it get to a bad place, and you're like finally like, okay, I'm going to like clean up everything. That means dismantling your entire life and putting it like all in one spot, and then
Yes.
like finally putting it all back together. It's literally
Yeah.
the worst feeling when like, have you ever like have you ever like stress minimalized at like 9 p.m. and like you
Yeah.
just get really freaked out? You're like, okay, I'm now right now I have all this energy because my heart is racing. I'm now going to uplift my entire life and put everything I don't need into a pile. And it hits like 11:30 and you've just dismantled everything. And then you get so exhausted that so you just lay on the bed that also has
Yes.
all of your clothes on it and wake up in the
Yes.
morning and just like feel like shit.
Also, this same impulse drives me to like if I have leftovers in the fridge in a big container, but there's only like one portion left, I'll like in the middle of the night, like go through the fridge and pull out everything that's like half full and put it in smaller containers. Or
Yeah.
like I'll be like, okay, this peanut butter thing is like basically done. There's just enough room on the top of this new one, so I'm gonna like squeeze peanut butter into the top of it because I don't want 2 jars in my pantry.
Yeah. I think every single time I've ever like cleaned my fridge, it's when I'm in the middle of like 14 other chores and I
Yes.
decided that like nothing can go on until I've like cleaned the fridge out.
And you've been like eating expired like jam for months and not caring, but all of a sudden you're like, I gotta get rid of everything expired.
Do you hear something so embarrassing?
Yes.
We were at Costco and we bought like mayonnaise and I was like, why do we need to buy mayonnaise? Like I brought someone we moved. He goes, he's like, maybe it expired. And I was like, mayonnaise doesn't expire. And he goes, it expired 6 months ago.
Like he was trying to be nice at first. Okay, but some food you can eat past the expiration date. Like those are fake.
No, for real. And I feel like I feel like I read this somewhere. And if I didn't, then I'm just like a, conspiracy theorist of my own.
We already
But
know you are.
I just feel like a lot of the time they put expiration dates on is because the FDA makes them
Yes,
expiration dates
it
on them.
is.
So I'm like, okay, I can see mayonnaise going bad, but definitely not within the range that it says. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And peanut butter is
Yes.
another thing that can just like it just like lasts a long time.
Yeah. Also, it is just like the FDA covering its ass, basically.
Yeah. But anyway, um, so with all that being said, I feel like I try to live minimally and I try to like only have things that I super need. And if I don't, if I it's not something I use every day, I try to have a place like a way that it can go that's easily accessible. When I want to go get it, I can just grab it. But I just
Yeah.
moved, so there was like a box of things in like the back of my closet
Yeah.
that like I was like, if I need it, I'll get it. And I needed it this weekend. So I had to pull out everything and I had to unload this box. And I just put everything on my desk. And I was
Oh my
like,
God.
this is bad.
What a
So
nightmare.
when you gave me this, I thought I was just going to like, do the Marie Kondo bit and then do my phone bit. But it gave me an opportunity to like Marie Kondo, like my desk working space.
Cool.
So that was really fun. I feel very successful. There's not as much stuff like on top of my desk anymore, which is nice.
Nice.
I'm regretting now, speaking out loud, not taking before and after pictures, but believe me. And then another big tip I took from Marie Kondo was like the bins. And it's funny that you said like glasses cases because I have like 4, like between Warby Parker and I Buy Direct, I have like 4 boxes of like little glasses
Yes.
things that I was able to like put a bunch of other stuff in that could just slide open easily. Exactly. So that was really cool. And then I also reorganized my entire desktop and put everything into my
God.
hard drive. So everything now has a
Wow.
place. It's all super clean.
Oh my God, this is like making me itchy. Like I need to do it myself.
So this is the thing is I started and I couldn't stop. Like these are all tasks that I did and eventually I'll get to Instagram. But these are all tasks that I did in preparation for even sitting down to do the Instagram bit.
I love that. Also, something I want to add, like for people that don't know about the Marie Kondo method or Marie Kondo method and minimalism is that it's not that you get rid of everything that doesn't have a purpose. you make sure you have things that have a purpose, things that don't have a purpose and also don't have sentimental value to you, you get rid of. But you're allowed to keep things that have sentimental value, and you're allowed to keep things that you use every once in a while. But it's really like, if say you like pick up a wrench and you're like, obviously this doesn't spark joy, but I need to keep it. So it's not only about sparking joy. And I feel like on Instagram and whatever, everyone's always talking about like, this doesn't spark joy, so I got rid of it. But like, some things you just have to keep because you have to.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing that I really, really liked about Marie Kondo was that like she never made any of like the families or couples or whatever like buy anything new.
Yes.
Or like she never made them like get rid of things that they didn't want to. Like it wasn't like an episode of Hoarders, which I know is a completely like different world.
I love Hoarders though.
I love Hoarders, but like I feel so bad for like these people who are clearly having really bad mental health issues, and like a woman is like forcing them to like throw things away while they're trying to like grapple with it.
Yeah, they're crying over like a newspaper from 1980.
And it's hard because like those are really hard because like it is like their health in danger a lot of the time, and like Marie Kondo is definitely like more well-to-do families that just like have a lot of clutter and like don't know what to do with it. But it's really hard to watch. They do totally different vibes.
Yeah.
But it was just really cool because like she was like, okay, it was always like, this is like the what we're working with, and these are things that you have. And she was like, within like 30 seconds, she like dumped out like a basket of things of like this woman, and then like started putting them back away. And like everything was already in the basket, but it just fit better. And she's like used like little boxes they already had. So like knew quickly how to do it. And I thought that was really cool.
So and also like, sorry.
And just like being able to like see it was another big thing for her. Like you put it in a basket in a way that like nothing's covering up anything else.
Right. And also basically she's talking to families that just like have never even considered doing this, and they just like assume that clutter is part of their life now. And she's saying like, it doesn't have to be. Also, clearly this brings you stress. Like they open up a closet and it's like bursting full of clothes. And they're like, this can't be peaceful to look at. And the people are like, obviously, yeah. And then they like, it's not forcing anyone to do anything. It's like stuff that they kind of already wish they had done.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I like that the Marie Kondo method is very like fluid, and like you can do it when it feels good. And even like throughout the show, sometimes they're like, Marie, like, do you ever have like a time when like your house is messy? She goes, like, all the time. Sometimes I come home and I'm tired and I just go to sleep. Like I'm not like, it's not like this thing that she's like trying to pretend as like that she's perfect and like she's just like good at it. You know what I mean?
And she has kids, and she was like, obviously living with kids makes this a really hard task. So clearly I'm not good at this. Like I'm not the mom that has like 2 kids in a perfectly clean house. That's nearly impossible.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I decluttered my desktop, and then I went through my photos and deleted, I think, nearly like 1,000 pictures.
Oh my God.
Because the thing where on my outside world, I try to be pretty like neat, and I try to be minimalist. I know sometimes I buy a lot of clothes, but I also try to like donate some clothes, or I try to repurpose a lot of clothes. Cause like t-shirts, especially the way I wear them till like they're like gross. So you can't really like, I don't want to donate them because like no one's gonna buy them.
No,
I'm not gonna give them to a homeless shelter because like houseless people deserve like dignity too. Like I'm not gonna give like my garbage clothes to like a living shelter. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
good.
Yeah. So like I try to like make them into rags and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I read recently that like 70% of everything that gets donated to Goodwill gets thrown out because people think it's like, people have this guilt about throwing things away. So they're like, I'll just give it to Goodwill, when really they should have just thrown it away because it can't be used by someone else.
Yeah, exactly. And then, I did my phone. I reorganized where all the apps go because I personally don't like having any apps on my main screen, because if I have apps on my main screen, I'm on them all the time. So like, as you can see, no apps here.
Wow, that looks so cute.
All of my apps are in like an app like file folder.
Whoa.
Like, so they're all in this. So I have to scroll through and they're all categorized. I made sure that I have no notifications. I only have 2 because those are my 2 work emails, but I didn't want any notifications. I deleted apps I don't use anymore. I haven't used in a while. And then I deleted like almost 1,000 photos on my phone because I'm a digital hoarder, and I like notice that when I take pictures on my phone, I always take 3 pictures or more. I can never just take 1 because even if it's just like a room that's standing still, I take 3 because I'm just in case like one is kind of blurry or something like
Yes, I'm the same way.
and then selfies I take a million of, and I never post any. Like that's the other thing is like as many selfies as I post on Instagram, like on my story, not nearly as many that like, exist on my phone.
Wow. Yeah, I feel that. I've like scrolled through and I'm like, here's 600 pictures of the same dog I saw. Like, what the fuck was I thinking?
Or like screenshots that I think I'm going to reference
Yeah.
later, or also
Yes.
sneaky like screenshots I have of like conversations that I'm gossiping with, which I'm just like, sometimes
Yes.
I look, I'm like, I'm such a piece of shit. Like, why do I have this conversation?
Also, like, if you go through like old photos and then all of a sudden you have like text conversations from 2009, you're like, this is not relevant anymore. Like, I don't need this.
Yeah, for sure. And then I deleted a lot of my text messages that I was holding on to
Whoa.
since like 2017.
That sounds hard.
And most of them at the bottom, like towards the 2017 side, were just text messages that I'd kept because I didn't save the person's number in my phone. And if they ever texted me, I needed to have the prior conversation on there or I would never
Yes.
know who they are. But I was like,
Yes.
okay, 2017, haven't texted them since then. And most of them are these text messages like, hey, it's blah, blah, blah that you exchange at the
Right.
bar. I was like, I'm deleting them. One really interesting thing about this like my phone decluttering is like I've had a chance to like look back at like pictures I've taken or things that I found like important, and it's been like a really fun journey. And now I get to like look back at that. So what I did is I basically went back through my photos for the past year because it was just like a lot. So I only went to the past year, but now I can look back at the year that I had and see pictures that I found important without having to look through like screenshots and all that
Oh,
kind of
that's
stuff, which
nice.
is nice. I
Yeah.
also realized I'm way hotter with facial hair, so that I had the most facial hair I've ever had, I think last month, right before I went camping. And then when I came back, I just shaved it all off. I was like,
Oh my God.
I'm just doing it. And then now I regret it. But it's okay since it grows back so fast.
Yes. Luckily it grows back.
Yeah. But any questions so far or any tidbits to add to that?
I would just say for people that want to do this themselves, it's really hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
And like obviously you and I've been doing it for a long time, and so it sounds easy too, that we're like you kind of have to get into a headspace where you're like, I'm just getting rid of stuff. And once you're in that headspace, you got to go because it's a fleeting feeling.
Yeah. And the whole like process of like holding something and like seeing if it sparks joy or not, it's hard to like then actually let go. And Marie Kondo is really good about being like, why don't you like physically say goodbye to it and like
Yes.
thank it for like what it did, because it is hard to like let things go. And like when
Yes.
you do decide to get rid of something, like it really is like, if you've ever had to break up with somebody and like you actually finally broke up with them and not did like the breakup where you get back together,
Yeah.
it's a process of like just deciding that you're going to like just walk away from it. And you kind
Right.
of have to do that with like your thing that you're getting rid of. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's like a little like I used to hold on to every like little tiny like origami thing that someone ever gave me once. And
Yes.
sometimes you just have to like throw those away because they're taking up space. And really
Right.
like the pressure of thinking that you have to keep it is like actually the
Right.
energy that it gives you. And it's not like this brings me joy. It's like I feel like I have to hold on to this thing
Yes.
forever. And like that's really
Yes.
stressful to me and I don't have a place to put it.
Yes. Also, a hot tip I have is, especially when you're getting rid of or like you want to donate things, just put those things in like a box in your closet. And then when you're finally have enough stuff in there, like just have a box that's dedicated to things I'm going to donate.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you have enough stuff in there, like don't even look through it, because if you haven't looked through it, like needed those items in there since you first put them in there, you don't need them. You haven't thought about them. But if you have them in your closet and then you do think, hey, I actually like wanted to wear that shirt today, you can go pull it out. And then there's like another waiting period. So it's not like immediately gone forever.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to say that I do like mini cleanses where I'll put everything in a suitcase that I haven't been wearing, or like I'll just take my favorite like t-shirts. T-shirts I just like collect because like there's like high turnover for t-shirts compared to other clothing.
Yeah.
So like I'll just like only keep like the 10 that I always wear and then put the rest away. And like you
Yeah.
said, if I haven't needed them in 6 months, I'll like then get rid of them,
Yeah.
or like I'll try to give them to friends or something like that.
Plus, you just have like a new lens looking at them, because sometimes you do that and you look back at the clothes that you had on your suitcase and you're like, oh my god, I love this. And then other ones you're like, these are boring to me now. Like I never needed them.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, something that you brought up was saying goodbye to things, and it sounds stupid, but doing it actually is helpful. And also, like when something breaks around the house, like I broke my pour over coffee thing, I was like all up like upset about it, and Gary was like, it's fine, it served its purpose for a long time. And then when we like recycled the pieces, we were like, thanks coffee maker, like you made so much great coffee over the years. And you're like, instead of just being like, fuck this piece of trash. And then you have like an appreciation for your things. Like, you know, if my favorite water bottle breaks, I'm like, that was a good water bottle. It like served its purpose and I loved it. And like, it's okay that it's over because I had so long with it, rather than being like, this is supposed to be disposable and I can just get a new one.
Yeah. And also, like, I feel like that opens up room to resent the next thing. So, like, if you, like, were still pissed off about the coffee maker and then you bought a new one with the idea that, like, you had to buy it, all you would think about is how it wasn't the one that you liked originally.
Right. Exactly. So just have it. Also, minimalism helps you have an appreciation for the things you do have.
Yeah. And while Julia and I sound like professionals at this, we're not. And with that in mind, I didn't do a very good job at Instagram cleansing.
I'm so interested to hear.
Because I feel like throughout the year, I'll typically like unfollow people that I'm not super jazzed about. But I went and looked at all my followers, like the people I'm following, and it was like 900 and something people, which is kind of a lot when I only have like 500 followers. But I went through to delete them and I couldn't like delete a lot of people because I was like, I like seeing their art. Like I haven't seen them in so long, or like I like this tattoo artist. And like as I get new hobbies over quarantine, I like the more people, I only follow more people, you know what I mean? And as there's more like seasons of RuPaul's Drag Race, I only start following more drag queens, and like I only find more makeup brands that I want to follow, and I only find another podcast that has an Instagram page that I follow, you know what I mean? So I think I unfollowed like 100 people, but thinking
that's a lot.
It is a lot, but thinking about like what my goal was for my Instagram, which is like to kind of I'm gonna try to match at least get down to close to how many people I'm following to have like an equal ratio. It was just really hard because I also really like feel like Instagram kind of gives a community right now, you know. But
did you mute anyone?
No, because the people who are muted right now are people I muted before, but everyone else I feel like are just so like if I don't want to hear from them, I should just not ever like look at them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which Nathan's way better at that because like a few years ago, there were people from college I like really full on actively hate followed, and I only followed so I could like be really, really angry at them.
Yes.
And so that when anything that they posted, I could pass judgment about them to like people. And it was like really unhealthy. And like they clearly like they had so much power over me that they didn't need to have. Because also sometimes getting rid of things and like getting like rid of people and all that kind of stuff is like letting go of the power that they have or like the object has on you. Like sometimes like we're kind of helpless in that situation. So keeping that in mind when you're thinking about like, you know, minimalism, I guess.
Literally someone from high school texted me this weekend to be like, oh my God, have you seen what this other girl from our high school is up to? Like, did you see her latest post? And they said that girl's name. And I like, it took me a few beats to remember the person.
Yeah.
Which I kind of felt a victory in, because if I was following them on Instagram or Facebook, like I would know everything about their lives right now. And they're clearly inconsequential to me because we weren't friends in high school and we haven't kept up any like face-to-face communication. So I don't need to know that they're like a bodybuilder in Hawaii now. I don't need to, like, none of that information matters to me. And it's kind of fun when someone texts you and is like, did you hear about this person? And you haven't heard about them for a while. And then you get to catch up. Like, that's what people have been doing for centuries.
Yeah, exactly. But I think overall, I'm going to give my rating. I think I'm giving myself, what are those little cookies called?
Wagashi.
I think I would give myself a wagashi because I think I could have done a little bit more. I think I could have like been more introspective, and I think I definitely just like decluttered to help my immediate person, you know?
Yeah.
I think I could have decluttered more.
Yeah.
I also have a goal to have nothing but a bed and some clothes, like 10
Yes.
clothes. Well, that'll never happen.
True. That's really hard.
And the other thing I need to stop doing is taking books out of the tiny libraries that I'm not going to read.
Yes. Wait until you've read all the books you have.
I've read all of the books I have because
Oh, that's great.
I try to mostly rent from the library now.
Yeah.
Except for some reason I read 3/4 of Neil Gaiman's American Gods on like Libby, and I didn't even care about finishing it, but I found it and I was like, well, it's a physical copy and I can finish it whenever I want, so I grabbed it. So I have a book that I've read 3/4 of, and then I found a book that has a fun cover, so I took it, and it's now like next to my bed as like aesthetics.
Nice. That's cute.
Yeah.
I've been doing this thing where I only hold on to books that either I haven't read or they were really impactful on me, because there was a time where I had so many books and I would like look at the bookshelf and be like, I know I read that, but I literally don't remember anything about it, meaning it's not important to me, and a library could make good use of this.
Yeah. I have like one tiny shelf of books because I used to like whenever I moved, I would lug like an entire like huge Tupperware thing of books. And I was like, why am I doing this? I don't want any of these. And I haven't read half of them, or I don't want to read them ever again. But the ones I kind of think now are kind of like mine temporarily, because I feel like I'm holding on to them because like I don't plan on rereading most of them. But like if I know somebody, if I like meet somebody and like not meet somebody, but like one of my friends like shows an interest in like a certain thing that like I have a book on, it's like it brings me so much joy to be like, have this book, like borrow this book, you can have it, and like, or you can give it back or whatever, but like I'm glad I could like share this resource with you.
Yes, definitely. I know the feeling. With the Instagram, do you think that this is something you're gonna do again, like where you actually sit down and do it, or is it something that's just gonna happen like as it happens, like as you see people that you don't like, you're gonna unfollow them?
I think that it's gonna be I think it's gonna be both. I think because like especially my minimalist mindset typically exists in both worlds too, because some days I like get like in the mood to sit down and like actively have like that conversation with myself to like get rid of some things, or like reorganize, or like, you know, all that kind of stuff, because I do feel myself getting cluttered. And then other times it just like it's just like a passing moment, which I'm like noticing like one thing that is out of place that just like is kind of always existing right in this space that it doesn't belong in. And I kind of decide what I do with it. And the same thing happens on Instagram, where like I'll just like be fed up with like being mad about something on Instagram and just like an unfollow, you know?
Wait, so did you already unfollow those people that you were hate following that Nathan was talking to you about?
Yeah, Nathan kind of was like, delete them or I will.
Good.
And I was like, honestly, that's kind of what I needed in the moment.
Yes.
Because there was no reason for me to be following them.
Plus, like, no one likes being like, oh my God, can you believe, like, no one likes being on the receiving end of someone being like, can you believe they did this? Like,
right.
It's not that interesting.
Like, yeah, Nathan has no reason to dislike this person.
Right.
And I don't know.
And you have to like give all the backstory like that he doesn't care about.
And like what it kind of fell into oftentimes, and this I catch myself doing this a lot with people I follow on Instagram, is like I decided I don't like them for no reason, and then I fall back onto like super bad prejudices about people to fall onto as reasons why I don't like them.
Yeah.
So like, for example, the person I was like disliking, a lot of the reasons I was giving were like just misogyny and like women hatred, and I was like, I don't need to do that, and like this person hasn't actively done anything against me for me to say those things about them. So like to also have that like, you know, check with yourself.
Good. Yeah, it's good to just check in on how you're feeling about your space.
But I had a lot of fun because decluttering is one of my favorite things.
Yes, I'm glad. I wanted to give you something that I knew you liked doing after I gave you something I knew you hated doing.
Yeah, that was rough. That's so sad. I'm still feeling scarred from that.
Worried. I was worried you were gonna retaliate, and then you actually gave me something nice. So we'll see what the future holds.
Before we go, I want to talk about one resource that you and I found a while ago, and it's actually the only minimalism podcast I've ever listened to. But if anyone's interested, Black Minimalists has a podcast. They also have a website and like a newsletter and a blog, so check them out. They're probably one of the only resources I've actually referred to recently for minimalism tips, so go ahead and check them out.
Yeah, they're awesome. Even just like looking at their page for 1 second makes you want to change your life.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Want to get into next week make me's?
I would love to. Okay, so for next week, Julia, I want you to pull a prank.
Oh my God. Wow. Okay. Gary's like obsessed with these prank videos, so he's gonna be mad that I'm turning our house into prank house.
Yes. Oh my God. If you could become a prank YouTuber couple, that's extra bonus points.
That puts like Tabasco in each other's underwear.
Yeah, exactly. And like destroys each other's property for fun.
And our relationship.
Yeah.
Okay. Gladly I'll do this. Next week for you, I want you to try one of your parents' hobbies.
Okay.
Like my intention was that you pick up one of their hobbies.
Yeah.
But you have to try it before you know if you want to like be it.
Okay. I love this idea. Do you have a make me for the listeners?
Yes, I do. I'm very excited about it. My make me for the listeners is see how much sawdust you can put into baked goods before the person you're feeding them to notices.
I love that. Send us a report back and send pictures.
Yes, and tell us where you sourced your sawdust from.
Yeah. Also, if you need sawdust, let us know. We have a guy.
True that.
All right.
Until next week.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey guys, it's Jordan and Julia. Thanks for listening to this episode. We hope you enjoyed it.
For content related to this episode, follow us at MakeMePod on Instagram. And you can hear episodes each week on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you find us anywhere else, please let us know.
You can also send us your questions, comments, make me suggestions, pictures of your dog, or requests for unlicensed medical advice to makemepod@gmail.com.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, rate, etc., etc. That's how we get discovered.
Please, we need to be clicked.
But for real, leave a comment so we know you love us.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.